Hey y'all, welcome back to Photographer Life Check. I'm your host Qurissy, and today we have the Kawai Matthews. Brr,
Yes.
brr, brr. Hey, I'm so happy to have you here today. You look absolutely amazing, which is
You too.
perfect.
No.
Thank you. It's perfect because we love to start off the episode with a little photographer fit check.
Oh, nice.
And I'm
Okay.
seeing things already. So, can you let us know what you're wearing and why you love it? Something like that.
Oh, fit check. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
let's start off with the sweatshirt. This is, I don't, it's
True.
backwards, but it's thriving artist. I don't know if they'll see it if it's, frontwards or backwards, but it's,
It looks straight to me.
yeah, okay. It's called Thriving Artist. It's like one of the brands that I launched that really was for me, but also for those that work in our fields, whether it's creatives or entrepreneurs or creative professionals, that just speak life into the work that we do. And it challenges the theory that, artist is a life of struggle. Being an
Come
artist is a
on.
life of struggle. So Thriving Artist is, is a statement that speaks into like a self-fulfillment. So whether you could be, having challenges now, or you could be going through something, or you could be living your best life as an artist. We wake up every day and we step into, you know what I mean? We step into that theme, we step into that affirmation that whether, you know what I mean, that we're thriving versus struggling.
I love that you're wearing your own merch too.
You know,
I wanted
it's
to
a
bring
chance,
that up a little later,
this is the perfect chance to rock it. And it also just,
Exactly.
it sends the right message.
So true.
Everything else is just literally like, I shop a lot of secondhand stuff. So the hat is
Nice.
secondhand. It's Supreme, but it was a great find. It's one of my favorite hats to wear, even on set. The glasses I got in New York at some flea market. And earrings. Got to
I'm
have,
really liking the scarf too. It's like a nice little touch to the fit.
you know. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Love a scarf. Love a scarf. Especially in
True.
LA, is all the weather's everywhere at times. So you know what I mean.
All in one
Got to
day
keep that neck
too.
protected. Protect your neck.
And
Protect your neck.
protect your neck. For me, my photographer fit check today is by Change. Women don't owe you shit. I love
Oh,
this hat so much. It's one of my favorite baseball caps, and the message is clear. And need I say more? Shout out to
oh,
Change.
dang! You came bold with it. I'm also a tie dye fan. I see you got like a tie dye shirt on.
Oh yes, this
Oh wow!
shirt. I love a little graphic tee. It's
Yes,
like it's a Japanese shirt. I don't know the brand though. But it's just a little graphic, tie dye situation. But this one was really the mood.
got you, got you.
That's how I woke up feeling today.
Oh man,
Beautiful.
that's a whole nother podcast right there.
No, for real.
A whole nother podcast.
So let's get into the photographer life check because that kind of sounds like mine today. For
Yeah,
those who might be tuning in for the first time, Photographer Life Check is literally just a life check in. So it could be career based, something you're looking forward to, something you just did, or it could just be how you feeling today, something going on in your life, how those two are talking to each other. So whatever that means to you, how's life treating you? What's your life check?
my life check is good. There's a lot going on in the world today and in our
Yes.
industry. You know what I mean? So every day you have to be intentional about checking in with where you are mentally, emotionally, psychologically, financially. You know what I mean? Artistically. These are times where a lot of people are having to navigate. You know what I mean? New ways of life, new ways of living, and like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like now more than ever, we need community. I've been tapping more into community, into creating things with other folks, talking and sitting and spending time with, you know what I mean, other photographers and other people and directors and editors and, you know what I mean, people that are just working in the community and are creative professionals and, you know what I mean, waking up every day to figure it out. Not only that, to get after it. I think more than ever, I've been super, super, super hungry, and just creating a way every day. You know what I mean? Finding a way to
Mm-hmm.
print my own money, wake up, create a way,
Come
create
on.
opportunities, and really lay the foundation for like long-term success. That's always something that I've had in my mind and had on my heart and had on like my muscle to do, is to create long-term success. But I feel like now more
Yeah.
than ever, like, security in that sense, and trying to define what that is for me and what that means and what I need to do in order to, attain life, long-term success is really important right now. So sitting with people, I feel like community has been like the probably like the best thing I've been able to tap into lately, that has kept my life in check.
Man,
You know.
that makes me so happy. I think especially because we're realizing on a massive scale in this country, especially in particular, how much we need each other right now and
Absolutely.
how individualism is the lie of the American dream. And and how like being in a collective is so important. It's one of the reasons I wanted to start this podcast in general. Like, I want to talk to image makers, people that are the history keepers, people that are documenting, and what we're thinking about, what we're doing, what we're hoping for. So that makes me feel so beautiful. And the moment you were like, I'm feeling really motivated and hungry right now, just the other day. I don't know if he was tapped in on this era, but I was like, man, I feel like I'm in my Lil Wayne mixtape era right now. I feel
Right?
like I feel
Seriously.
like I'm in like the drought is over 4, dedication 2 and 3. Like, not no ceilings. And we love no ceilings, but I feel like I'm tapped in right now on a different kind of energy. And I really like it. I'm trying to stay right where you are.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm on that wave too, and I'm excited to hear that you are. And I'm telling you, I feel it from a lot of folks. And sometimes it's, the way that we get there sucks sometimes, because it's always like some situation or some condition that like
you
puts us
know?
in a corner that says like, all right, how do we find
Right.
out of this? But whatever we can use as a catalyst to be better, you know what I mean? Like sometimes that's just what we need. And when shit hits the fan, that seems to be when like people, you know what I mean, strap up their boots and finally do the things that they've been wanting to do or desiring to do for so long. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
now it's a situation. It's like, all right, what are we gonna do? You've been saying this for all these years, and now this is an opportunity to where everybody's like kind of, you know what I mean, in a stressed situation, and
Yeah.
figure it out.
And I got to get to it.
Period.
I like that you just said that though. So I'm curious, as a director in particular, what is something that you've been wanting to do for a long time?
One of the things I've really been wanting to do for a long time is actually put out, and share more educational information
Hmm.
around like the craft, how I work with clients, and just some of the things that I do, my workflow. So just getting more of like my information and my experience out there and figuring out a way to share it with folks. And I used to teach years ago. I used to teach photography. I taught some video as well, and like
Oh,
studio
amazing.
lighting and basic photography and stuff like that. I taught that for a couple of years to adults. And I did some youth classes as well. So I love teaching. I love like sharing knowledge, and also like challenging folks um, to actually like, sit down and get after what they say that they want.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all go through that same thing. So I feel like, in a teacher or facilitator or mentor space, we get so busy with our own stuff. I feel like this is a time to really like tap into, not only like tapping to other communities, but also, you know what I mean, leading communities and kind of, you know what I mean, inviting people into my world and the things that I do. As a director, there's so much that people don't see, you know what I mean, industry wise, and what happens on set, and just the meetings and how the preparation, post production, like so many steps. And it's not just readily available to folks.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to YouTube University and things like that. Um, or, maybe go to a panel here and there, but there's so many steps in the process. As a director, as a creative professional working in Hollywood, you know what I mean? Like various things that don't even have to do with the camera, that don't have to do with
Yeah.
like technical equipment, gear, designing a treatment. You know what I mean? There's so much like psychological work and like tact, and how you know what I mean, approach, how you communicate, and how you continue to get work long term in this industry. So you know what I mean? Just those nuances and what it means to be like successful in these spaces, beyond just having talent.
Come on, Professor Matthews.
You know
I
what?
didn't know.
I like that. I like that.
Come on. I didn't know. I didn't know that you were a teacher. I didn't see that like on your website or anything. That's really
Oh yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah. It's a lot of stuff that's not on my website. It kind of is just like, I don't know.
You know, it's only a tiny portion of your life. It does
I
not say
know, I
everything.
know. Depending on what era I'm in, I'm like, oh, what do I feel like sharing? Because you know, it's
No,
just
for
like
real.
when you, I've like, I don't want to say I've done a lot, but I have experienced a lot, and I do have like, I'm a multi hyphenate, like a lot of us are, like a lot of
Yeah.
creatives and things like that. So it sucks for us, but sometimes we have to like narrow down what we share so people don't get confused about like,
Right.
well,
How
what's
to hire
popping for us
you.
right now. Yeah, how to hire us,
Right.
and then like not thinking that we're doing too many things and all that kind of stuff.
That's part of the psychology aspect, where it's like you have to be thinking a little bit about how other people are perceiving you to
Yeah,
structure
absolutely.
yourself on places like your website, your Instagram. And some of that is frustrating because it's like, I like doing all of these things,
Yeah.
but what era am I in today? Okay, I guess I'm a director today. Let's follow this.
Yep. It's true. But
But
you know,
let's get into that.
of
You were talking
course.
about, you want to teach people the things. I did see some of your videos like on Instagram where you are literally breaking down some of these things. So I want to
Yeah.
pull up your reel first
Okay.
so people can get the overview.
Right.
I also love that you mentioned as a multi hyphenate artist, it's a lot of things up in here that maybe you didn't know. So to start off in terms of something that you can teach folks right now, what kind of director are you? Are you like detail oriented, like you have to follow the plan, or are you kind of like, I got an idea and I want to wing it while I pull up your page?
I think you have to, definitely you're not winging it on set on the day of. Sometimes those come up, but I'm a director that's very like, uh that I like to do my research. I like to connect with the subject matter, and do my due diligence when it comes to an opportunity that comes to me, and making sure that I'm prepared when I'm having conversations with clients, or you know what I mean, or about the project before I go in. So before I even take on a project, I am taking time to sort of sit still with what that project is, and also what the purpose is and who it's for. And also like creatively immediately began to kind of envision how it's going to take place and start to visualize and kind of project myself into that situation, how it should be, you know what I mean, how it's going to look.
Yeah.
I'm a person that like, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. You know what I mean, like I've always been like this business oriented person. So I'm like, writing notes, getting organized, already thinking about logistics, and thinking about, you know what I mean, gear or new different perspectives or aspects that I can bring to the table. But on set, like, after, getting prepared, having meetings and talking to, all the stakeholders, um, whether that's creative director, executive producers, talent reps, all that kind of stuff, and making sure that we're all on the same page, and also making sure that that they feel confident that I know what I'm talking about, and that I've done my homework, and that I've doing my preparation, and that I have vision.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the big thing too, is just being able to get on a call or on a Zoom and being, confident. And you can have questions too and still be confident. You know what I mean? Like you won't have all the answers out the gate, but I feel like as a director, you come with confidence, you come with the questions you need answered. You also come with knowing like what kind of support, what kind of team you're going to need. And, being able to talk numbers or budget, or, you know what I mean? Like what resources are there. But on the day, like I'm a very like, artist forward like director, to whereas the talent that I'm working with, or the artists that I'm working with that will be on camera, they are very, very important. And also my crew, you know what I mean? My team that's going to help
Mm-hmm.
me execute and pull these shoots off. Um, Making sure that the morale is there, you know what I mean? That I'm tapped into each and everybody's like state of mind and what they need to execute and pull off their job. You know what I mean? And if
Yeah.
everybody's on point and in sync and aligned and they feel supported and they feel seen, then you're going to get a great product, a great deliverable. And on top of that, making sure that, talent and, you know what I mean, their people are confident and feel taken care of and seen too. So as a director, you're tapped into everybody's well-being. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so you have to be mindful and connected to energies, different energies, multiple energies at different times, and knowing like when to step in, when to step back, anticipate people's needs, at the same time be able to execute a vision technically. So there's a lot happening. You're multitasking, but I like multitasking. So
For
it's like
12 hours
you're like the
straight.
leader of an orchestra, you know what I mean? So it can be stressful for many, but this is a space that I really like thrive in, and I feel that I'm gifted in, and so I really like it.
I love that you keep mentioning leadership and how you're just attracted to and drawn to leadership. Can you give the people maybe just a little insight on what you think it takes to be a leader, especially as a woman in this
Mhm.
field, and what that might mean for you?
Gotcha. Well, I mean, leadership begins with you knowing yourself, being self-aware. Um, the more self-aware you are, the more you sort of observe yourself and your own behaviors, you'll be able to identify those things in other people too. So as a somebody that is very tapped into kind of to studying myself and my tendencies and my moods and emotions and things like that, I'm able to, like, when they come up in other people, I'm able to identify it, so when people are being honest or when they're not, or when people are feeling like, not supported, or the motivation that you need to really get after it or to do a job. I would say my leadership skills definitely are rooted in my experience as an athlete since a kid. I started playing basketball when I was like in around the fifth grade, and those team sports and being like, not only just having working with captains, but also being a captain, being a leader. You learn both ways. You know what I mean? You learn how to be a leader and you learn how to be led. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? There's some times
Mm-hmm.
where you have to take a back seat, you know what I mean? Learn to play, execute your role.
Yeah.
And there's sometimes where you have to lead and, amp people up and get people motivated to do their job, or get through challenging times when we running on that line or running on the track. You know what I mean? And everybody is cussing to themselves or wants to quit. You know what I mean? How do you rally your team and mindset? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of like my leadership mindset, or my mindset period, when it comes to team sports, because creating, directing, whether you're, directing commercials, movies, anything, it's a team sport. And you know that too. You know what I mean? When you're doing photography or directing and you have people that you have to lead, they're looking at you and asking, questions that you have to have answers to and things like that. So, yeah, definitely somebody that played team sports, somebody that like is an entrepreneur, that I've had my business for many years as well. So being able to do that. And I think it just takes, sharpening over the years and being coachable. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Being able to jump on a team and have a supporting role as well, and to be able to observe from, you know what I mean, from a side seat or a back seat, you know what I mean, and kind of study people and how they lead and decide what kind of leader you're going to be, how you want to make people feel when they work with you. So,
I love how you was real cute and humble just then talking about basketball as a kid.
oh,
When you got a full ride scholarship, a
really?
college scholarship to go play basketball. Like you was really that girl.
I did,
No,
I did my thing,
definitely did the things. Definitely did the things.
but you know what? That was actually like in my heart, in my mind, was a gift to my parents. You know what I mean? For
Oh,
them not
for
to have to
sure.
pay for my college.
You know?
I love basketball, and I really enjoyed playing it. It taught me so much. Like, I wouldn't be the person that I am without it. I wouldn't have the character and I feel
Mhm.
like, just I just wouldn't it shaped me so much. It has such a huge hand in who I am today. But yeah, like the coach that I had, his name's James Anderson. I played over at Narbonne High School.
Shout out to James Anderson.
Yeah, but he's my coach for a long time, high school, and like summer ball, you know what I mean, club ball and things like that. So the organization I was in, which was called OGDL at the time, his father ran an organization for girls basketball, and
Mm,
we were big. He was big on the student athlete, not just the athlete, the student athlete. So we had to maintain a certain level GPA. We were all,
nice.
you know what I mean? We all were college bound. They made sure of that. They all helped facilitate, you know what I mean, like the whole recruitment process and prepping us for that and things like that. So I'm really thankful for that program, and you know what I mean, like the coaches and my teammates, and just the collective effort. It was a village that was saying like, hey, we're going to take these girls from the inner city. We're going to make sure they have the tools, not just the practice on the court, but off the court and in the classroom, to make sure they, succeed and they get into these 4-year colleges. And so basketball was a huge, you know what I mean, asset. You know what I mean? I was able to leverage
Yeah.
that to get a scholarship, and play, college ball and
And
give
gave
my
you
parents
these, yeah, and
no
gave you
debt
these
after that.
transferable skills. Like
Yeah,
how much it impacted you clearly shows up in the work that you do today. Like
absolutely.
that's incredible.
Absolutely.
I want to go back to the leadership point you mentioned a little earlier, because we have listeners. For those who don't know, Photographer Life Check is the first original podcast for the Black Women Photographers Network. And in our community, we have everyone from hobbyists, early career, all the way to seasoned vets, in about 65 different countries around the world. And
Wow.
so when I think about the different like scales of people we're talking to, I want to make sure we can talk to people at any tier level of like stage they're at in their life. And one thing that stands out to me in talking to you right now is that you feel very confident in your position as a leader when you're on set. And of course, that comes through time and like practice and trying different things and learning yourself, like you mentioned. But I'm curious because something that I hear often, especially from women in their early years, early in their career, like they're just literally just starting out, is that they don't know how to get people to listen to them. They don't know how to get people to follow them.
Mhm.
And as a photographer, a producer, a director, you're the one who's running the set.
Right.
And you can work together between those three people, but like you have to know how to get people to listen to you to and also to how to direct people.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if you have a little note, especially like thinking about baby Kawai when she was just first starting out, do you have like a little piece of note, a little piece of advice that you can give somebody, and like especially as a woman, here's something that you can do?
Right. Um, well, one, you don't have to force it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a way that, and everybody's different, so I can't even say that women lead, but there's an advantage and a privilege to the way that we lead and the way that we think,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we have to find value in that. So finding your strengths and value, and believing that you're worthy and you should be on set and you do have the knowledge. So one of my main things is that definitely helps me is that I know my shit. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
because even not even just as a director, but because I can operate camera, because I know lenses, I know cameras, I know, you know what I mean, everything technical about what cameras are, lighting, lenses. Um, so knowing the technical aspect of the craft is definitely something that helps when you're communicating with different folks. Also knowing everybody's role, you know what I mean, and being able to, you know what I mean, speak and communicate to each department on what that is. So as much as we, sometimes multi hyphenates are like, I don't want to say talk down on, but they're like focused on one thing.
Yeah.
The fact that I know what a grip does, what a gaffer does, what the makeup team, how to communicate with them, how to communicate with my DP, the language of, you know what I mean, an executive, I know exactly what they want to hear. With talent, you know what I mean, having a sensitivity to knowing what it means to be an artist or talent on set, and everybody just telling you what to do, and it's craziness happening, and you just looking for a calm moment and somebody to speak to you and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we're about to move into. Do you need anything? You know what I mean? Like some kind of
Mm-hmm.
customer care, client care, or hospitality in that sense. But knowing the different aspects of production. I think also like it's a matter of like preparation too, and some of those initial meetings that you're taking with folks, so that before you even get on set, you've established your authority and your experience and your vision, you know what I mean, as to what's going to happen. And then also learning how to navigate and know that like some people always aren't trying to like mum you, you know what I mean, or like
Mm,
quiet you, or say certain things, but um that may just be their personality. You know what I mean? Like there's so many personalities that you have to deal with when you're like
yeah.
collaborating, and you might just come across a dude that's just like that person. You know what I mean? Just like and you have to find a way to tap into your own woman magic to get through. We all deal with it, and we all know how to get in and get out of it. And hopefully it doesn't get you to a point where it starts to bother you and you start to transform into somebody that you're not. But a lot of it is, even communication, having hard conversations and saying like, if you're not getting that respect on set, or if you're not feeling that your voice is being heard, being able to like pull somebody aside or actually make a general speech to your team before you get started, like, hey, like I'm excited to lead you guys, you know what I mean, on this, you know what I mean, project. And I'm just asking that we all respect, one, my voice as a director, you know what I mean, like being able to, you know what I mean, establish that authority, even if it has to
Mm,
be said. So if you are, a woman or female, or you identify women identified, female identified, you can do that. There's no boundary that's saying like, hey, you just have to take it,
there you go.
so in calm, confident, you know what I mean, loving manner. I tend to do it in love and humor, you know what I mean, so that people get that. And you'd be surprised at like what a little communication can do. It can shift the whole mentality. They're like, all right, I got you. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? They'll dial it back, or they'll lean into like supporting you. They come up, they're like, all right, whatever you need, I'll get these guys straight. Just tell me. You're like, all right, cool.
How cute.
Now you got a little man buddy. You know what I mean? That
Right. Yeah,
that
handle
little
handle
man
that
buddy.
leg work right there.
Yeah,
Come on.
exactly. Because there are a lot of folks that are excited to have, you know what I mean, a woman director. We do tend to
Mhm.
have come to work with a bit more compassion, a lot more attention to detail, um, tapped in energetically to everybody and making sure everybody's good. And yeah, there's a lot of advantages to being a woman director. So lean into that, but also be ready to have some conversations to where you will have to set the tone, you know what I mean, and
Mhm.
you may have to give a speech or two, or a side conversation or talk, you know what I mean. I think we get scared sometimes, you know what I mean,
A
as
lot of people are afraid of conflict, and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's real. Like, yeah, like it can be scary, especially at the workplace. Like, how do you navigate
Yeah.
that?
But the
But
story is at stake. You can't let the story fall
exactly.
through. You can't not speak up when you know something is right. You know what I mean? And also being
Mhm.
able to be flexible in those situations where you may really, really, really want to do something, but you have to be able to find middle ground or be flexible. And if it really, if it, I've had to toss ideas and take things out of edits, you know what I mean, that I really, really was attached to. But at the end of the day, you know what I mean, the people that hired me, um, I can advise them on things, but you know what I mean, they're going to want what they want. And
Yeah.
somehow you have to make it make sense and say, like, all right, if they want me to do this, then how can I make it make sense? And how can I still be happy with what's, you know what I mean, what the end product is going to be?
Yeah, that's actually a perfect segue. That's something I really wanted to talk to you about because you largely do commercial work. You're working with all sorts of brands, and anybody who's worked with, especially a large brand,
Hmm.
we know there's a style guide. They can be pretty strict with the things that they're looking for, the things that they want, and what their values are as a company, which makes sense. They have a brand to maintain. And you, as the artist, also have a brand to maintain. And I'm curious
Hmm.
how you manage to create something for these other people and still create the thing that you hope to see. Which, of
Right.
course, like you mentioned, there are upsets where it's like, I know this would work, and they not folding for that edit.
Yeah.
But how can you still sprinkle your own sauce on it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my sauce is on it from the beginning. You know what I mean?
Period.
Um, but I feel like I was thinking about this the other day because this has always been like a personal battle. I don't think just for me, but for some folks. And it's just like, are you the director that has a signature style that people come to you for this specific
Right.
look and style, right? Or are you the director or the photographer that can take on any client and execute a vision that they may have, and you put your sauce on it, and it's just like you can work with anybody and you're not like worried about your style being compromised or
Mm-hmm.
this goes against my aesthetic that I've established. You know what I mean? um i'm I'm a photographer that has a style, but it's not a style that's like signature in a sense that like when you see it, you know it. I'm like a director and photographer. It's like when you feel it, you know it. Like it's something
Come on.
that's in it that I pull out of performance or out of talent, that it feels like I did it. You know what I mean? Or
Mm-hmm.
it has the production quality or like the detail, and it has, you know what I mean, an aesthetic that not necessarily is nailed to a look, but it's nailed to like a vision executed, so to speak. Um, so yeah, and there's some instances that like, I know of, some like visual artists that will turn down projects or
Right.
not take them on because it's not in line with their aesthetic. I'm somebody like as a business person, as an entrepreneur, it's somebody that really enjoys like challenges and variety in life in that sense that I'm open to taking on, you know what I mean, different. And because I love brands and marketing and things like that, so it's also an opportunity to like get inside the heads or get behind the scenes of like these big brands like a Nike or an Apple, or you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it kind of just it gives you an inside look. So as a person that loves like business and branding and all that kind of stuff, entrepreneurship, um, I'm tapped into uh I'm tapped into like opportunities and projects that give me variety, that I'll know I'll learn a lot in, that actually give me insight onto like, all right, what would I say? How would I speak for this brand? Like what would make sense? What story? Because that's what it comes down to me. I'm a story person.
Mm-hmm.
What story? What is communicating with their audience? What's their mission? You know what I mean? I'm more of like connecting to their mission and making sure that the visual story and like what we're doing connects to what their core mission is and how we
Mm-hmm.
can, you know what I mean, make it look good, but at the same time get that story across. And from that, my magic like sauce is being able to see and feel what that is from like learning about that company or learning about what that project or campaign is about. You know what I mean? So if you look at like the
Mm-hmm.
Nike swim campaign, with the two women that were, one of them is an Olympic athlete, and then the other was more of like a wellness coach and used water. You know, and they both used water differently to launch the swim cap. It was basically a Nike swim campaign to launch a swim cap for basically women with voluminous hair, right? So there aren't
Mm-hmm.
really a lot of swim caps for Black women, brown women that their hair fits under the swim cap, right?
Right.
So Simi is an Olympic athlete, bobsledder, and she uses swimming in her. and like rehabilitation, low impact training, right?
Mm,
And Tara was somebody that used water and that would loved water as more of like a wellness, like rebirth sensibility, right?
mm-hmm.
So tapping into both of their stories and what that means for them and like expanding and exploding what that purpose is and making it a cohesive story to create a visual, you know what I mean, aesthetic to, and also tell about, you know what I mean, showcase their journeys. That's like the kind of like the behind the scenes puzzle that's going on in your head. Like, how do we take these people's lives, connect it with this brand's mission, make it make sense for the viewer, make it valuable for the viewer, you know what I
Right.
mean? And connecting those things. So I'm like, I'm a connect the dot person, like for the behind the curtain stuff when it comes to deeper meaning and deeper
Mm-hmm.
connection. And then, you know, the look and the aesthetic and the flyness of it all is just a part of it too. But to me, that's not the most important, but it's got to be there, you know.
Right. I love that you call it like the connect the dot person, especially considering how much you do. Like you're also a producer, you're also a photographer, and a million other things on set, which I think is an incredible privilege, like a privileged position to be in, to know so many things, even if you're only coming in as like one thing on a set. And it makes me think
Absolutely.
about something like this, which is in a lot of campaigns, but or not campaigns, but shoots in general, where there's mixed media happening.
Hmm.
And this one stood out to me a lot because there's a lot that goes into like a live segment, a live show. And this is an award show for BT. And I'm curious, can you break down how you direct mixed media? Like, are you sitting down with an editor afterward, like putting everything together with them, or is that their job entirely? And
Uh-huh.
then I'll play the video while you talk.
All right, cool. Well, these segments for BT, I worked a motion designer, some extra things that we may need to animate and give the piece life, right? So
Mm,
they call these packages. So the packages have an different multi elements. Now I edited that package as well.
okay.
So it gets to the point too, because like you've sat through all these interviews. So it's like I taught myself editing a while ago, a long time ago, and it was probably the best thing that I ever did. You know what I mean? For
Mm,
myself as a director and just as a person that can be able to tell a story. It's almost like, you know, right, being able to write an essay or a research paper and put it in a minute or a minute 30. Um, so I'm usually working with a segment producer who can help shape the story. And they're saying like, if, you know, these are the people that were interviewed. These are the music. This is the music that was cleared. So they're kind of like, it's like a checks and balances. They're telling me like what I can, what I can't use. And within
got
that
you.
framework, I'm creating and ideating like a look and sort of my own personal story and connection with that talent, with Queen Latifah. What do I want to hear as a viewer? I put myself in
Right.
the viewer's seat as well. Like, what are the things that she stands out to us? You know what I mean? Most for, and what they may want to learn. And so being able to like take her music from like when she first started and showing music videos and then transferring that into, you know what I mean, her year to year, you know what I mean, or decade to decade, really. She's had decades long
Yeah.
things. So being able to mash that all up in visual and tell a story it's crazy and it's intricate. But yeah, usually those packages I edit myself. Um, just because that's post production is a beast. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're working with a team on it, there's a lot of communication and back and forth and things like that. And there's a lot that can get lost in translation. But I love storytelling in the editing room. So I do a lot of that. And some of the, I don't know, some of the things that you see, like graphic wise, I work with a motion designer to help me animate those elements.
Yeah.
I also do graphic design too. So I can, I can like set up
Kawhi, keep a job. Let's
see,
go.
like I don't do graphic design as a job anymore, but
Oh, you
in these
retired.
instances, in these scenarios, I can like mock up and draft and you know what I mean,
Right.
do
Which
all
is
these things.
important.
Exactly. So I can send this like send a title to a motion designer and say, "Hey, this is the title and give them, instruction on how to animate it. So usually in post-production, I'm doing the edit in Premiere Pro, and I'm working with a motion designer. And we may be working with templates, or, you know what I mean? Like that
Mm-hmm.
kit that the show has given us, and those assets, and we're making it, you know what I mean? Giving it a lot of razzle dazzle, so that when it
Yeah.
comes on screen, it looks like it's a part of the show. The story's tight because I've been working with the producer, and he has been giving me, you know what I mean, different edits, things to take out, things I missed, or things to trim, or hey, we can't use that song because it's going to cost a lot of money. Use this one, or
Right.
they're performing this, so we don't want to use it just yet. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of spinning wheels. It ain't for the weak. It ain't for
How
the weak.
much time do you usually get to create a segment?
Usually I'll get a call maybe like a month and a half before, like, maybe the show airs. Month and a
Okay.
half, 2 months. It depends. So they'll just give me a heads up, like, hey,
Right.
the show's coming up. We have these are the one, two, or three candidates that may be getting this award as an honoree. Right. So already my head's spinning. They're like, oh, we have so and so in mind, we have this person in mind. We're just seeing who's gonna accept it. Right.
Okay.
So it's usually like, maybe let's say like a month and a half lead time. And so through all that time, they're trying to set up interviews with different talent and celebrities. So that could be, I could be getting an interview up until like 2 days before the show is
Right.
happening. You know what I mean? Because
And
they're
then you
so
gotta
busy.
slice it up in the best way you
Yeah, but
can.
I have to work with that, and I can't wait for that stuff
Right.
to come in. I have to like think ahead and do and anticipate, like, all right, let me knock this part out, or let me see, you know what I mean, where it may fit. So you're working at every point, like without a lot as well. So it's just like, what can I create? How can I start to structure this edit? And what can I build while all the craziness is going on with, you know what I mean, interviews and waiting on assets and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, they're pretty intense.
Yeah. But that sounds really cool though. I like this. And
Yeah.
segments are usually my favorite parts
Yeah.
about award shows, so it's super tight.
Yeah. And I feel like they're gifts to like these people that I've looked up to all my life. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I've done so many, like I've done, like my first one was for Snoop Dogg. He got like the I Am Hip Hop Award. So like just being able to
That's so
like
tight.
tell a story about him and like just West Coast hip hop and his journey, and learning so much about, you know what I mean, how he even came to be Snoop Dogg, and saying
Yeah.
like, yo, this is my gift to this artist, to this person that's given
Yeah.
so much to the culture, then I get to give something back to them. So I take it very, very, very seriously and very personal when I'm, you know what I mean, collecting their collecting information and stringing it together
Yeah.
to
That's
give them a
super
certificate.
sweet too. I
Yeah,
like that.
absolutely.
Now, speaking of you having a million and one jobs, how I met you was as a curator. Kawai
Mhm.
also curates. And it was for this beautiful show called Our Truth Be Told for the Los Angeles Center of Photography that I had the privilege of also being in. And I'm curious around which of these jobs not only came first, but how they're even talking to each other, maybe. Like, is
Right.
there a part of you as a curator that's also producing and directing and,
Yeah, absolutely.
maybe even looking at it as a photographer's eye?
Mhm. Um, that's so funny. You keep calling them jobs. I don't call them jobs. I call them more of like skill sets. Um,
I'm with that. Come
yeah, I
on.
call them skill sets that I learn how to monetize. I have
There you
various skill
go.
sets that I can monetize if I so choose. And I'm thankful for those gifts and talents. And not only that, like there's skill sets that I've developed over time. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we're sitting on gifts and talents, and if you choose, you know what I mean, to develop them and figure out a way to help them live you a thriving artist life, then, you know what I mean, kudos. But all of these kind of, they lead into, it's like a natural transition. Like I didn't really set out to have all these skill sets, but they're things
Hmm.
that like when you are working like solo most of the time, or I'm like a creative, very like, I like to explore things and like tap into my potential. And so when I do that and I find that like I have a knack for something or I enjoy doing something, then I like to develop it and play around and just like, so all of a sudden it becomes this like professional hobby, and then it becomes something I do
Yeah.
for real. And it's just like, oh shit. Like, but that goes again to like my basketball background and like practicing and like, um, getting my reps in, you know what I'm saying? So I'll do it so much that like it turns into something that I can really do and people want to pay.
Right. Yeah.
So that's cool too. So like, you know, from photography is a natural transition into like video. It wasn't something I had set out to do, but an opportunity showed up and video was introduced. And then from video, even before video, I was doing like graphic design. I mean, I love graphic design and art and stuff like that, presentation design. So that's something that, you know, I would, as an entrepreneur, I was like creating like, you know, my own business cards or my own flyers and
Right.
things like that. So it all, sometimes it comes out of necessity, you know what I mean?
True.
And then from video, I learned how to, I taught myself how to edit, you know what I mean? So they all kind of bleed into each other. And then as when I told you, when I used to teach photography, and LACP was where I would teach at. And so I don't teach there anymore, but Brandon over at LACP is always tapping me, tapping in and saying, "Hey, you want to teach something?" And I'm like, "No, my schedule's too unpredictable to like commit to a
Yeah.
weekly something." You know what I mean? So I would do you guys a disservice, but they hit me with an opportunity to curate this show. And you know, as a photographer, as a director, as somebody that came from that world and still is in that world, it made sense.
Yeah.
And I have a great eye for, you know, the visuals. So it
Mhm.
makes sense. And also talent. I feel like each and every person that was in that show, including yourself, I saw something in and I felt something when I saw your work.
I
And it wasn't
appreciate
just
that.
about aesthetic. It was about, like I said, feeling, and it was about story. And that's really important when it comes to, you know what I mean, what I decided to put on the walls. So and like we talked about the first, you know, when we first got on, which is community. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I get such a charge when I'm in community. Um, my sister supported me on that too, and she was looking at me. She was like, "Yo, I've never seen you this like lit and excited," and like my face was hurting from
Oh.
smiling all night. And you know, it was crazy. It was packed in there. It was a crazy turnout.
Yeah. That
So
was a really good show.
it
And your
was
sister is so cute. I loved meeting her.
you know, so we both love art. That's like my art buddy, my concert buddy. You know what I mean? We love being in
Yes.
community and around those spaces. And so like being able to curate the space. And I used to like throw parties back in the day. That's a whole nother life. But I threw
Come on.
parties for
Talking
a
about them
long,
eras.
seriously, eras. That era was it was something. So I know
That's
how
for
to like
another
throw a party.
podcast.
I know what it takes to get people out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Have a good time. You know what I mean? Add a little sexy. You know what I'm saying? A
There we go.
little art, good energy, vibe. Um, and also, you know what I mean? Like branding and the people that I knew that you guys were going to bring. Like you guys have your
Right.
own audiences, your own fan base, your own, you know what I mean, collaborators and peers and things like that. So being able to bring all ages, all styles of photography together for one mission, you know what I mean, for one, you know what I mean, for one goal was great.
Yeah, that was a really beautiful show. I really appreciated being amongst that group of people too. And I met more women at that show that ended up becoming good friends.
Oh
So it
wow.
was perfect. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, that show was fun.
Yeah.
I gotta do more of those.
That would be super
I got to
incredible.
do more. My mom was like, "You have to take this. You have to take this across the nation. Like I can see you
Yes.
every year. Are you gonna do this every year?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, no!"
I
Because
love the
curation is a lot of work
support.
too. I learned a lot.
Right.
That
Yeah.
ain't for no punks either.
At
So
all. And
And
that'd be a part about the people that support you. They'd be like, "Oh my God, you need to do this all the time,
yeah,
everywhere." And it's like, do I don't think I got it. Like,
if they only knew, ooh, ooh, ooh. But yeah,
okay.
like talking to each and every person on the phone, making sure you guys had what you needed. But I needed to make that connection. I wasn't just going to be like, hey, can you just send us some work to put up? Like,
Right.
it was literally like talking to each of you, like learning about you and what what you want to see, how you want to see your work as an artist to an artist. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, I want this one, this one, this one. I asked each
Mhm.
person, like, send me something that you want to see or a story you want to tell. You know what I mean? It's our truths be told and leaning into the diversity of our stories. You know what I mean? And like what they look like, what they feel like, who they're for. They could look odd, they could look, you know what I mean, familiar. Like everybody had such a unique voice, but it was all like woven into this like beautiful fabric that night that like it all felt right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah.
You have this brand, thriving artists. And as you mentioned earlier, it's about shifting your mental into believing that you could be something better than a struggling artist, which makes me think about your perspective on becoming a leader, where it's like shift your perspective on yourself is essentially what you said. It's like
Right.
you deserve to take up this space, and you can be a leader and you can lead people. And it's just kind of like believe in yourself,
Yeah.
which I love. I also have a thriving artist sticker on my wall over here. I kept my pen. I love the message. I'm really a part of the tribe.
I love it.
And so I'm curious, can you tell us a little bit more about the business and maybe one or two things that you think it takes to be a thriving artist?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you how I was born quickly because I go to like business where I've always gone to like business workshops and workshops that like help me be a better artist and entrepreneur and just make sure that my financial stuff is straight and all that stuff. So I went to this thing downtown and it was just like a bunch of like artists and creatives and people that just basically kind of like business for artists or entrepreneurs, right? And so I'm sitting in this class and it was like over a couple of weeks. We met like once a week, but like every time I went to class and there was like a new facilitator talking about a different aspect of business, whether it was marketing or financial or legal or whatever, like they would give the instruction and say, hey, these are the things that you can do, that you need to do. And there was so much pushback from each person on like why they couldn't do it, why it
Mm,
was hard, why, like it was so negatively charged. And I was like, there was nobody that was like, all right, bet, I'm at it, like this is what I'm doing, all right, I got my lit, you know what I mean? There was nobody like motivated to step into the action of
mm,
actually like doing the work. It was always like, this is why I can't, and I'm a woman, and for Black people it's this, and for
mm-hmm,
Latinos it's this, and as this person, it was just like they were just anything they could say about like their identity, their personality, or whatever being like a hurdle or like being a roadblock. Now, mind you, these things do exist, but we're in a space where we need to tap into stepping into what that is, you know what I mean, and stepping into and tapping into that potential. So I was just like, everybody in here has like a struggling artist mindset,
mm-hmm,
you know what I mean? Like what's the opposite of that? Like when do you start? I was like, the one thing that this class is missing is mindset. Before you even start to get into like all the other stuff, we need to talk about mindset and like the psychological aspect of what it means to be an entrepreneur, you know what I mean, or an artist, and make that a living from that. So it's like shifting your mindset to what's possible. Like that's what I walked away with that. You know what I mean? Like
mm-hmm.
that was an important module that wasn't there, because if that was there from the beginning, then the experience of that course or that program would have been different, because we would have worked on the a major part of success, which is getting past your own mental roadblocks and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so Thriving Artist was born from that experience, really. And I was just like, we just need a reminder. remind ourselves that this is actually possible. This is what I desire. And not only that, it was something to communicate to other people that hire us and think that they could just pay us whatever, or that we just do this for fun. And you know what I mean? Like, or a family or friends that think that, oh, you may not make as much money, or you may not be a successful artist, and you're going to be doing this forever, you know what I mean, and struggling. So it's something that I can wear around my parents, you know what I mean, and they look at it
Yeah.
like, oh, word, okay, you know
Right.
what I mean. Or I can go into like a community center and a kid can see it like, oh, we're a thriving artist, like, okay, not
Never heard that
struggling, but
before.
thriving
Never,
artist,
right. Never
yeah.
seen that before.
So now it's like it shifts your mindset to like, okay, that's what it is. And also being able to define it for yourself. That's important. So thriving artist does not mean like I'm making a ton of money, I have a big house, and I sell all kinds of merch and my art's here and everywhere. Thriving artist can just be, you know what I mean? I take an hour or two a week and I go in the park and I knit, and that makes me happy.
And commit to my artistry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And carve out time to get that and to harness it, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, and to express it. So thriving is, you know what I mean, is something that you define for yourself. You know what I mean? For me, it means that I can make a living from it, you know what I mean? And I can seek and work towards financial freedom doing something that I really love and I'm passionate about doing and learning and things like that. Maybe a lot of more work than somebody who's a hobbyist, but we're both still
Yeah.
thriving because we can still get that expression out. And
Exactly.
so, yeah.
Yeah. I really appreciate that. I have my notebook and my sticker, like I mentioned, but now I see I need to get a hat for these photographer fit checks
No, I got to
and
send
let
you
the
one.
people
Oh, yeah.
know. Yeah,
I
I
got
want
you.
more of the people coming too to have this on for photographer fit check.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I got you. Because what is that, a dad hat? Or is that just like, it looks
I
like
think
a
this is
dad
a
hat.
baseball dad
Yeah,
situation.
yeah, yeah.
You
Yeah, I
know what
have
I'm
one that
saying?
style actually. I have a
Six.
couple. So I'll bring you a couple and then you can kind of pick what you want.
That's so kind. Thank
On me,
you.
on me.
Come on. Be Kawai putting us on. Okay, this feels like a great place to take a little break, so we'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Art House, the first Black-owned film lab in the city of Los Angeles. All my photography homies love Art House because they specialize in C41, black and white, E6, and ECN2 processing for both 35 millimeter and medium format film, all while using a custom built cinema scanner to get you those stunning movie quality stills. So go pick up or drop off a roll at their new location in Chinatown. So go pick up or drop off a roll at their new location in So go pick up and drop off a roll at their new location in Chinatown and check them out at arthousefilmlab.com or arthousefilmlab on IG and tell them we sent you. Okay? We're back. This next segment is one of my favorites.
Uh-oh.
It's called Photographs Not Taken. It's an idea I always love to think about because there are images always living in my mind. And I found this book. Shout out to my homie. He put me on. His name's Caleb. He was like, we were having a conversation about it. He was like, oh, I think you need to read this book. And it's just a collection of essays of photographers answering that question of what's your favorite photograph that you never took and their own perception of that. So I'm curious because we mostly talked about you being a director today, but she is a photographer as well. What's a favorite photograph you wish you would have taken?
A famous photograph I wish I would have taken?
Favorite, not famous.
Favorite. Oh,
Yeah.
damn. That's a deep question. I was like, you said rapid fire. That's not rapid fire.
Oops.
That's definitely not rapid fire.
That's real. Some of the ones I have, I'm usually like, okay, let me set the scene. It was.
I know. I don't want to disappoint you, but I do have to give you an honest answer because
That's fine.
I don't think that there is a photo that you can actually wish you've taken. I feel like it's
Mm.
every photographer has their own life lens that they photograph things from, and it's more than just what you see in the print or on the wall or in the magazine. Like there's a whole story that led them to that moment. So if
Mhm.
you're trying to duplicate that photograph, you're trying to duplicate the whole journey to get to that moment. And that's where the value is,
Mhm.
right? That's where, like, when you really tell a story about a photograph or like how you got there, and it turns out to be like a 30-minute story, and they just want to know like the short version, which you're like, no, this is how
It
this
started
moment
when I was
unfolded.
11.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So that knocks me out of the game immediately. I'm like, oh yeah, there's no way I could have even gotten to this moment. Um,
That's interesting
yeah.
how you perceive that. Um Before moving on, what you're describing is one of my favorite parts about like the second day of a gallery. Opening night of the gallery, like you can't really talk to anybody about anything. You're like
Mhm.
screaming at the top of your lungs. There's so many people. But second time you pull up and you get to talk to people, you can go into like, okay, actually here's all that went into this image, and that
Yeah.
is like one of the best feelings. Um and I say that because it's so interesting. I did not think about how that question could be perceived that way. Because the way I tend to perceive it is like when I'm walking down the street and I see an image, but I don't have my camera on me, or it's a
Ah,
moment where
got
if I
you.
if I did, like I was like too afraid to take it, or like the moment was lost before I could take it, and like that image just stays with me in my head.
Uh-huh.
Some other people have perceived it in the way that it's like oh, like I wish I had more photographs from my perspective as a child, where I'm just like
Mm.
10 and I'm outside playing with my friends. It's not like a holiday, but like I wish I could have just had pictures from that moment or something like that. But we never got this perspective before, and I like it, and I think it's a valid answer.
And I'm a person too. Like I just from another perspective, like I wish I would have taken that picture. Like I don't people are like, "Where's your camera?" I travel without a camera all the time. Like I don't pull it
Mm-hmm.
out for every moment I see some picture. Like if that was the case, I already have too much in my phone that I'm just like, "Girl, you're never going to go back to
Man,
this." You feel me? Like I'm
hard drives
solely
and
in the
hard
moment. Like
drives.
I need to experience this majestic scene without something in front of my face. Like
Yeah.
I don't care to bring it out because I'm like the experience of being and interacting with that moment and that material or that scene or that person is going to actually inform me and have a different impact on me than me like trying to capture it with a photo. You know what I mean? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to miss it
Mm-hmm.
that moment. And so me actually being able to engage in a conversation about my experience with that moment versus me capturing that moment, I'm going to choose to experience it and connect with you, or you know what I mean, like that part of it versus like I took a pretty picture or I took a dope photo. Like
Yeah, like
that's always
what's
been
really
difficult to me.
happening?
Yeah, for real.
Man, I'm trying to get there. I feel like I go back and forth. I have my moments where I'm like, I'm super into this. I'm living, especially particularly in nature. Like if I'm on a hike,
Yeah,
if I'm traveling, or I'm like, nah, this is crazy. I'm really on Earth right now. Like this is amazing.
I'm really on earth. That's funny.
And I won't take the photo. And then I have moments typically past, like in the future of those moments where I'm like, damn, I wish I had a photo of that. Cause I'm just gonna explain it and it's
Yeah,
not gonna do it justice. Like I wish I could show
yeah,
you what I'm thinking about.
yeah, and that's
So it
okay
always,
too. That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Like they're both ways are okay, but
Yeah.
like I'm a person that likes to. I don't know. For me, like the camera can sometimes can disrupt my experience, while
Mm-hmm.
some people it elevates, you know what I mean, their experience, or they see it, they want to capture it. I feel like when I first started photography, like black and white photography and things like that, I was doing more of that like urban landscape, you know what I mean. I had my
Mm-hmm.
camera and I would just take all these random photos and find art in those moments, and I still do, but now it's just that like I don't stop to take a picture of it as much as I, you know what I mean, used to back then. Um, and also because film is different, you know what I mean? Like now with digital, you can just like pop off all these things and it's just like, I don't know. It's not as special. But like if I
Yeah,
had
it's a different
it,
relationship for
yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Yeah. Our next segment is the gear don't matter, but because the gear don't really matter. because you could take a beautiful photo with anything if you
Absolutely.
got that eye.
Yeah,
But
it
we
matters.
love our gear, right? It matters. Every little piece of gear that we
Yeah.
have and we use is important and enables us to tell the stories that we want to tell. So I would love if you would tell us your favorite piece of gear that you use. It doesn't have to be a camera, but it can
Mhm.
be.
My favorite piece of gear is the Apple box. Hands down.
Oh, why you let an apple box? What's going
Hands
on?
down is the Apple box, baby. That's the all that's the MVP on set.
She
That
does a
thing
lot of
right
work for us.
there, that thing right there gonna get you right. It's got your back, baby. That Apple
That's
box,
so true.
that Apple box, unmatched.
If you know, you know.
I'm sorry. It's
And
one you know
last,
how like you lose your phone or you put your camera down, you be like, where is when you the Apple box, where
right, we need two. Stat.
for me and them, right, exactly. Whatever.
Right.
But yo, no, that
Ah,
thing is it's everything to me. Yo, seriously.
come on. The Apple box put in a lot of layer work. We appreciate you.
Yep. And that's a lesson in simplicity. You know what I mean? It's low tech, but it's high use.
Talk about it. We've been getting
Seriously.
real analog too. Like put the phone down, use an Apple box, take the mental picture.
You
I
know
like
what I'm
this.
saying? For real. But and as I sit in a room full of equipment. But don't get it twisted. I love my gear.
Right.
I love my gear. I love my tools for sure. But it's all important. The analog and the tech stuff is definitely important.
Truly.
Because
And
some people
last
just
but
go way down with the tech. I'm just like the tech is not going to help you. You need some
some
real hands
ingenuity.
life things happening in order to even have the sensibility. You know what I mean of what to
Hmm.
use, how you're going to use that tool, what you're going to use it for. You know.
Yeah.
So
Instead of worrying about the most expensive thing you can buy.
seriously.
Figure
And
out what you can do
nowadays
with what you
they
got.
make it too crispy. So it actually you get it and then you take it back to looking or seeing
Right.
analog to give it a real life texture. You're just like, you know,
Which, another reason to shout out the movie Sinners. Did you see it?
absolutely.
Man,
Yeah, I
they
saw
they
it
really did
twice.
it with that one.
Yeah.
So, last segment, shoot your shot. Who is somebody you would love to photograph or work for?
Shoot my shot. Ooh, you said somebody I would love to photograph?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Heck. It gotta be somebody famous?
No, it can
Oh.
be anybody or a company like that you'd love to
Oh, like I want
direct
to shoot
for
for?
or
Oh yeah, yeah,
produce.
yeah. Okay, now see you expanded it. You expanded it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what's up. I definitely want to shoot more um, sports pieces, sports content. So, just like, athletes, student athletes, or athletes that are mindset oriented, which most are, but
Mm-hmm.
telling more stories of of athletes and deeper purpose in their methods and strategies around performance, and not just performance on the field, but just like you know what I mean in life and all the things that they do. So some these are stories that kind of mirror mine that I connect with deeply, and so I would love 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 to start to do like docu pieces around, you know what I
Hmm.
mean,
Like, and following
folks.
the athlete themselves.
Yeah,
So, with that in mind, all you basketball players, I'd especially love to see you do some women's basketball. I've been loving how much they've grown over the past couple years.
absolutely.
Follow some athletes around and maybe not even like the girls that are like the girls right now, but some of the up and coming ones. And
Yeah,
I
I
could
got
see
one in the
it.
pipeline. I actually my
Ooh,
coach, my high school coach, he checks in with me like at least every month, every couple months. He's like, "Hey, kiddo, what's going on?"
that's so beautiful. Honestly, a docu series on Coach.
Huh?
That'd be crazy. A docuseries on Coach
I know,
James.
right? Oh, he wouldn't do it. He would not do it. But I was like, man, I've been thinking about you. I was like, 'cause I want to find like a young player that I can profile, that I can shoot like a short docu
Mm.
piece on. And he was like, yo, he's like, I have somebody for you. You know what I mean? He told me her name and I went and looked her up. I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. She's a high school player. She's college bound. But like beast. You know what I mean? So I'll talk to her probably tomorrow, give her a call and see what's up with that. But yeah, I'm excited to just like connect with some young folks, some young athletes, and like tap into,
Mm-hmm.
their mindset and their, you know what I mean, their practice regimen and like their drill schedule, all that kind of stuff. And then also, what's going on up there as well. So yeah.
That would be so incredible for you to like follow an athlete from a beginning stage like this all the way to the WNBA. How
Wow.
incredible.
Yeah. That would
Yeah.
be amazing.
So apparently you already shot your shot and she's on the books, but
That's
this docu
important.
series
That's
needs
important. You
fun.
can't just be sitting on shooting you gotta go ahead
Exactly.
when
Come
it
on, you
hits.
honestly, you gave us the first of a couple this episode. I like it. I like your energy, Kawhi. And this project needs funding. So
Oh wow.
if if you are looking for these athlete stories, get Kawhi on your set and give her money to make it. Thank you so much.
I know that's right. You taking on management clients?
Well, you know what I'm saying? I too am a multi hyphenate. What's up?
We get
Kawhi,
into
thank
it.
you. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for having me.
much.
This
Today
was
was
so fun. It was.
perfect.
It was. It was. Thanks again. I'm glad we ran into each other and we were
Me
able to make it
too.
happen. So yeah.
So beautiful. Can you tell the people how you would like to be found?
Well, the website is Kawai Matthews, and then also just Kawai Matthews on Instagram. Kawai. That's one I, Kawhi, and then Matthews with two T's. Yeah, those are the two places I hang out.
Oh, and don't
Sometimes.
forget Thriving Artists.
Oh yeah, thrivingartist.life. You can go to that website, order some gear, or at least see it, or whatever.
Right. At least go
But the
check them
mindset is
out.
free. You go ahead and have that. That don't
Come
take.
on.
You ain't even got to purchase that. It's already in
Message.
you. It's already in you.
There you go. All these links will be in the show notes, as well as you can find Photographer Life Check everywhere you get your podcasts. You can watch us specifically on Spotify and YouTube. So be sure to give us a follow, rate us 5 stars. It helps more than you know. Like, comment, all the things. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Peace.